before I forget of all my salient points, I'm really excited because it's been weeks to talk about Andor. I finished.
Ooh yeah.
So this is it. That's it. That's all of Andor. 2 seasons.
That's all you get, baby.
Yeah.
That's all we get. And this show feels like a weird miracle. I kind of want to talk about just the climate in which the show was made real quick, because the three of us have bore witness to the decline of peak television in the span of this podcast.
Yes.
I mean, when this podcast started, peak television was still a thing.
Yeah.
Halfway through.
I remember potting through Twin Peaks season 3. I remember there was it was okay, man. It was good times for a long time. Yeah. Mad Men was still on the tear.
Yeah. That.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. We didn't even watch Better Call Saul. That's just out there for us one day.
Right.
Oh yeah. I watched a few episodes and then it was a great time. And then COVID happened. I don't know.
I would actually say
it was
before COVID. I think what killed the golden age of, clearly the tech companies and VC killed the golden age of television.
Streaming killed.
Yeah, the quick
streaming. All the shows you mentioned were broadcasts.
Yeah, that's true.
Put it that way.
Quick bites.
Yeah.
I would say that was once we have pre quick bites, Quib, and then we have post Jeffrey Katzenberg quick bites.
Oh my God, I forgot about
I think
those.
that's the dividing line. But all of this is just to say, so what we've got Andor season 1, which is just a weird little thing.
Yeah.
It's better than it should be. It's really good, and it's better than it should be. And then season 2 comes back, and then Disney says, yeah, Tony Gilroy, you've got a 5-year plan. Do your 5-year plan in 1 season. And
yeah.
Okay, so to me, that is peak post Golden Age of TV, because in the Golden Age of TV, when your show was about to be over, you stretch out that final seasons over 2 years.
Oh yeah.
Final season. So final season A and final season B, a la Sopranos, a la Game of Thrones.
Breaking Bad.
You really milk it.
Oh yeah.
And this is the first time I think I've ever seen the inverse.
Yeah.
Which is, you get it all out now. Whatever you got, get it out. Get it now in this one single season, and it worked.
It did.
We've learned that no matter what the prestige this has, because even Mad Men and all those other stuff, they got critical acclaim. They didn't get the views really. But that acclaim was enough to
Breaking Bad by the end of it was a very well watched.
Was a juggernaut.
Yeah, but it grew season by season by season.
Yeah,
and that was how those shows worked, is because you'd get them on DVD or watch them on Netflix.
Yeah,
and that would catch you up to the fresh stuff, and then you would catch on. And so there was a fun, Game of Thrones was like that. Some people would onboard in season 3 or on, So, and that was the thing. There is and so this is obviously a sign that's over. And I think indication that there's a little short term thinking now going on in Star Wars. And Disney in general.
Yeah. Well, the other thing about those shows you mentioned again are broadcasts. So probably their ad sales, because of the prestige, probably got bigger.
And so they got to profit.
Whereas for streaming, they're like, okay, we're going to build a service we've got a popular show.
Yeah.
And more people are going to get subscriptions, and it's going to make this all worth it, because people want to subscribe to our streaming service to get this stuff. And that's just, it's the same as the pivot to video. That was a lie. It wasn't ever there. It's
there's a couple things I wanted to talk about the things that Andor season 2.
I want to say one more thing about season 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
that was a linchpin with this, is that they only signed Skarsgård to 2 years.
Oh, okay.
He said he only agreed to 2 years.
Oh, okay. Well,
and so it was an idea of get rid of him early and then, bring in, I don't know, Admiral Akbar. He could have had an adventure. I don't know. But like,
no, I can't imagine.
So I think that they felt like take it out with him. Yeah, So I that paid a factor.
Yeah, but also Disney was not in the business of doing Star Wars shows anymore. They're like all of them. They were just like, "Oh, you got another season?
It was a real Even Andor was a bright spot because it was critically acclaimed, but all of them those took a beating.
I mean.
Yeah. What?
Yeah,
all of those.
Yeah, no, none of us were watching Skeleton Crew.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Acolyte, or
I watched it.
Acolyte.
Yeah, you say no. I watched all that shit, man, except for the Obi-Wan one. That one was I couldn't stomach.
Just.
But I tried.
The spirit of the Force has lied longer in you.
The rest of us,
and my wife liked them, so I was like, okay. And
okay, well that helps.
Yeah,
they're good shows, actually. I mean, well, most of the ones Acolyte actually was pretty good.
Oh, so are you and I know this is contentious in some circles. Are you a Kathleen Kennedy fan? Do you like the stuff, or maybe Dave Filoni? Are you a Dave Filoni fan?
I'm Filoni. It's not Kennedy because I don't. I mean, there's sequels.
Mm-hmm. The sequel movies.
All that mess, really. Even as much as I love The Last Jedi, we're the only people that still love it.
Yeah, we are. They're few and far between.
Yeah.
We've lost the cultural battle with that.
Yeah, and the rest are even people whose opinion I respect about still hate The Last Jedi, and I think they're wrong, but whatever. But the rest of them are a mess. So I guess I'm a Filoni. Like, it's a good time. Like, I don't think. Yeah, though that the Boba Fett show,
Jesus,
that one was horrible. Mm-hmm. That was a shit show, and then it only got okay. But even the Mandalorian seasons nobody likes. I like them well enough. They're not like
Obi-Wan Kenobi. People didn't like that.
That's the only one I couldn't finish, man. Like I watched all that shit. I watched the Boba Fett show. I said this sucks. It's fun when they got Opie's daughter to do a few Mandalorian episodes in there, but it sucked because don't get me started on. We're here to talk about Andor, but I can tell you what sucked about Robert Rodriguez is shitty. He ruined that show.
Yeah,
what?
Mandalorian.
Anyway, the Andor. I think a couple things I'll be coming back to this in the course of this Andor conversation is comparing to some of the things it actually has in common with some of those great Golden Age of TV shows. Mm-hmm. One of the things in the beginning of season 2, there's that great scene where Andor is talking to the technician.
Oh, yeah.
The Imperial technician that he's trying to turn. Mm-hmm. He's trying to convince her to
give him the keys to the TIE fighter thing.
But he's also kind of doing this thing where they're kind of flirting at the same time.
Yeah.
But he's also trying to. Anyway, the scene is doing a lot, and it's got a lot of. It's kind of unique in the way that it shows that Andor's actually really good at his job.
Yeah.
And it was kind of reminded me of The Sopranos in that way.
Oh, yeah.
That you could see where they would take the time to show you that, like, a different side to Tony. And, he's a lot of things.
Yeah.
He's really good at his job. He's really capable, but he could also, like, turn on this, like, hidden reservoir of charm. And it felt like the season was going to, like, open up. Like, maybe they were going to have more scenes like this. And it, like, nope. You only have 3 episodes to get, like, all this stuff out, right?
Yeah.
And it was really kind of like the only scene in the whole series that was kind of, like, open or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like a little interesting cul-de-sac that they used to go in, that Sopranos did all the time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they did a lot of, like, that is that show just got along on its charisma alone. Like, it was a hangout show, and like its pace is rather slow. Like me and Allison did a rewatch last year or 2 years or something, and the pace of the show is pretty slow.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, like,
they're not in a rush for anything.
Yeah, and so like I wonder.
In a good way.
I wonder now why. Yeah, like why aren't more people trying to slow? Because when Andor does slow down, I really like it. In the first, another thing in the first season, and it's all to like how Gilroy paints Cyril Karn, my honey bun, my favorite character. Like how he goes, did you change your uniform? And he goes, I did a little pipe. Like he had made his uniform sexier. Yeah. Like there's something about that. The fact he has action figures on his little desk and his nightstand and his mom's, so when he goes back home, and Gilroy found a way to do this kind of like, like characterization, but do it in a little quick ways like that.
There's a lot of economy.
Yeah, a lot of economy in that kind of stuff. So you can kind of like, if you're doing it as a second screen experience, which I think is why Andor, it doesn't catch on with some people because you don't.
Oh, no. It is a visual. It's visual storytelling.
Yeah.
You can't just listen to it.
Yeah. All the way down to like, there's things that I had to go back. Like at the end, the one thing where they put the highlight on the blaster. And it was the guy that was and he goes, "Oh, that's mine." It was in the second season. Did you remember this? At Yavin?
Yes.
Val picks up one of the blasters, and she goes, "Whose blaster is this?"
Right.
And it's got a little icon. Well, if you look back, it was Cyril's blaster from season 1.
Yes,
that's right. Andor took. So it did have those like the Easter eggs for itself, like satisfying Easter eggs, I guess.
Well, that's another thing that it has in common with the Sopranos.
Yeah.
Is that the Sopranos had what I call a little guy.
Mm-hmm.
The Sopranos would have a little guy, and he would be like at the table with all the gangsters in one episode for his first appearances. But then, like 6 episodes later, he's got a line, and then like in the next season, he's in a pivotal scene.
Yeah,
and then before you know it, the little guy is like got a whole story arc in season 6. And he's no longer the little guy.
Bobby Bacala was that. Yeah, and Bobby Bacala was one of the main characters by the end of the show.
But they're all that's how they are. But you don't know, they were kind of like hum in the background until they're faded up.
Yeah.
And Andor did that it had a little guy. It has the Deidre's guy that she asks if he could do a thing or whatever. He's the little guy who's like her little hype man at the beginning, right?
Yeah. And then he's at competition.
Yes, and then eventually he's the director. And you could see how, if it was given 5 seasons,
he's the one that gets her arrested. Holy shit! I didn't even put that together. You're right.
It's the little guy. They did the David Chase little guy movie. Where he starts off as just being a little guy in the room, and then slowly gets faded up over time.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that, I mean, you really can't even do that with literature, because literature, you can't, because because the nature of the television is visual. You could literally have a character's first appearance happen, and it's a visual thing, and they might not have a line for 2 or 3 episodes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They could just be, but that was something I really appreciated about Andor. It had that in common with, like, the best that the medium has to offer or whatever.
Yeah, it had a good, believable amount of death. It wasn't like everybody was safe. Like, it was shedding a lot of characters.
No, just the opposite.
Yeah.
It was like, this was a grim reality that everybody lived in.
But, it paid to, like, get to know these characters. Like, I was wondering about that in Gorn, when you spend time with the Gorn resistance.
Oh, yes.
And you were introduced to a lot of like little characters with French accents.
Yes, space French. Yes.
Yeah, space French. And I'm like, is it going to be? Am I going to be rewarded for getting to know all these characters, or are they, are we just? These are just characters to get me in this, to get Andor in the room with the person we need to know. But no, we follow like all those characters through their horrific deaths, and So I liked that. Yeah, it's a real structural. I'm big on this structure of it. He was real. It was real like storytelling artistry, artisanship. Andor, both seasons, but in different. They don't mirror each other because he eats the 4 years thing really well. I think
the result. I think so too. The result is it's all killer, no filler.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. That's the one downside to
I guess.
The golden age of TV was that they had these filler episodes, which could be nice, really nice digressions and little interesting cul-de-sacs, creative cul-de-sacs.
Right.
They could be, but also. It could fall flat.
On bad seasons, they were bad, yeah.
Right. I told you, and there was supposed to be a filler episode with the K2.
Oh, yeah.
Security robot.
I had enough of K2, by the way.
Well, then I guess it's all killer, no filler. You're welcome. There was a horror episode, which I guess would have been like that fly episode in Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah. Like everything's taking place on a ship, I guess. It was really, it was really satisfying. And, I do think that, I guess, if this was, I guess I'm sad I won't get to spend more time with my characters. So I do think that, I do think that Stellan Skarsgård was written in, watch this guy. You're going to get a lot of scenes. He's going to say a lot of good shit, and you don't get enough because it's 2 seasons. It's 24 episodes. But as far as I think it's I think that he has on his hands this coolest Star Wars character. After all of these fucking years,
After,
there you go. And her, Clea at the end, and how they,
Clea,
because that's one thing as I'm rewatching it with Allison, then I'm seeing.
Well, she starts off as a little guy.
Yeah, she's a little guy in the room, but if you watch it again, she is the boss. In multiple scenes,
right. And
you think that it's he's humoring her, and I think at the time when I first watched it, I think he's humoring her. She's he's treating her like a daughter. I'll let my daughter say a lot of mean things to me that I wouldn't let another person say. But no, she is very committed to him. It has a different tone as you rewatch it.
There is a partnership. There is an equal. Partnership,
or 50, tilted 50. To her, or tilted to her maybe, because she at one point goes, we need to speed this up, and that was in season 1, and I was like, okay, I didn't notice that the first time,
right,
and that's when he starts trying to get Saw Gerrera
lies and deception.
I love those scenes, man.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
they just let him chew scenery, and that's actually one of the wisest things that they do.
Yeah,
and that's so counterintuitive because it's an egg from a big movie.
Yeah,
but not treated as such.
Yeah.
Right.
They give him some of the greatest scenes in the show, I think.
Oh, yeah.
You find out why he's hooked to that silly Dennis Hopper gas from Rogue One.
Yeah.
Right. Isn't he addicted to that stuff, right?
Yeah. It did. It felt like he had to settle some...
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker was fantastic, and how much scenery they let him chew.
Yeah. I got all these great little parts, because Andy Serkis is really great in season 1, and Ibn Moss Baccarat. I really enjoy his performance. We've already talked about this. Cousin, but season 2 doesn't have that main those big characters. You follow a little. I mean, you follow quite a few, and then it allows the little guys from season 1 to be these much more evolved characters. And maybe if he was like trying to like there was on some sort of file on his laptop a 5-year plan. You could see how little characters would mature, like you were saying in the olden days. But then, like how Clea gets kind of set up, how Lonnie, by not how little he's in season 1. To basically, he's just there to hear that speech, and for you to realize that Luthen's got a man on the ISB. But we're talking about a Star Wars movie at this kind of level of sophistication of plot. But in season 2, by the end of where before Luthen kills him, I'm like, God, fuck, Luthen fucked this guy's, because I don't think his wife and kids got away. I think they're fucked.
No, they're fucked. Yeah,
yeah. I think this guy got nothing from helping the rebellion, but it helps little Luke Skywalker blow up the Death Star.
right.
So
that's actually one of my sole complaint in this is. When there's that little digression into the Force healer.
Oh yeah.
The Bix.
It was beautifully no Jedi shit. I loved it.
Yeah, I know, that was so good. And
well, it was. Yeah.
They had to get. They probably Kathleen said you gotta get the Force in there somewhere. Like, okay.
Well, maybe
the one time when they said "May the Force be with you," I was like, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit.
I gotta tell you. I feel like by watching these 2 seasons, I know Cassian Andor, and he would totally have an astrology girlfriend. And this is the Star Trek equivalent of an astrology girlfriend.
Yeah.
I guess you're right.
So, like,
yeah, you're right. I suppose you're right. I mean,
yeah, she went to her.
Here's another thing with the Force healer.
Yeah,
the last time you see the Force healer, she's doing physical labor. She's unloading a truck.
Yeah, she was a cook.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't think that's.
It didn't, but yeah,
there's something about that. You don't see spiritual people in media do physical labor in it. And it kind of like offset the disgusting vibe, I guess.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even because like he has an astrology girlfriend, and in this world, the astrology happens to be right. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But what I didn't like was like when the rebellion is all. But I mean, I guess that's from the movies they got to. Like, when everyone in the rebellion is saying, "May the Force be with you" before you go off. It's like,
I think that was I think, I don't know, from the little I know of canon lore, Yavin was especially Jedi'd out, forced out.
Yeah, I mean, it's got all those pyramids. Those are Jedi temples, right?
I think. So, like, I think that, like, and I do like that you see that Yavin started out as a DSA meeting, versus a Trotskyist society.
Yeah, that's what's great about the show. It really gets leftist politics.
It really does. But that was Yavin. That eventually became because like the show's pretty read out. I think there's a lot going on with its politics that I think are pretty ballsy. And very knowledgeable of revolutionary politics.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was just, he just dove into it to get the gig or whatever, but I do think that characters like Luthen, characters like Saw Gerrera, are these, I do think that it just basically that it was all a very realistic look. It was about money. He needed to do these robberies and steal these goods he needed to steal their weapons so he could move them on the black market to fuel these uprisings. So like,
right. I mean, and that's the whole Mon storyline. It's like she's been feeding the rebellion, and then they're gonna track it to her books, and she's like, "Fuck," and they have to find a way to get more money and to hide it. And it's like, okay, it's about money. Yeah,
and it was really, and that was I don't know. It was really exciting to read this kind of stuff that has this kind of like detailed politics, but also, and look, there's a stormtrooper every now and then, incredibly tastefully. I felt like for the most of it, I don't know. What do we feel like it fouled out on like Star Wars Easter eggs? Do we?
I really didn't feel that. I felt like I felt like Star Wars was lucky to have it.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not saying that it went afoul. I'm saying that, like, do you think, like, I'm saying the opposite, that it was so tasteful with the eggs that it didn't. Do we ever feel like it went too heavy on the eggs?
No.
Star Wars. Yeah,
no, like I said, the one thing when they said may the Force be with you, it's
the Force. Yeah,
but like I guess that's Star Wars. That's what they say in Star Wars.
That's what they said at Yavin. Yeah, that's what they said all over the base. So
right,
and I
think one of showing the Empire and all of its multifacets, and having all of them be such 3-dimensional characters really brought into sharper relief what the people in the Star Wars universe are up against.
Yeah,
and I think that was really smart.
Yeah.
I mean, they're hateful. Some of them are just employees, and some of them are just truly hateful, ugly people. And some of them are completely indifferent to power, to actual machinations of power, and are just there to kiss up to power. I mean, like that. Mon Mothma's husband.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can we talk about him for a second? That guy. One of the first things that we hear him say is, "I hear you brought me home a present."
Yes.
I
mean, a little baby. He was he was just a delightfully and her shithead daughter. Like, both of them were just the worst. Yeah. And I'm sitting there feeling he's got me feeling bad for like this soft-headed lip, and she's not really, but that is the way she portrayed herself to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the movement.
Yeah, exactly.
You actually get to see somebody who starts off as soft-headed and then moves into a real boots on the ground type person.
When Andor shot that guy in front of her, the look, like that pure look of terror after her speech, that pure look of terror. Damn, that was a lot of fun. Yeah. So, and the thing with her driver.
Oh yeah.
That was like a real moment where someone she knew was he murdered someone she knew.
Right.
And she was able to play that to her benefit by calling her husband a gambler.
Yes.
Because, like, she picked a fight with that dude, and he probably wasn't. Maybe he had stopped gambling. He was like,
yes. Because that's why she was to need this money for this whatever.
It was a cover story.
Yeah, it was a cover story.
And she knew that leak would get back.
What was her daughter? I mean, I know, like her daughter was forced to marry this shithead. Like, so I get that Mon Mothma got her shithead daughter back. But
not forced. No. That was the whole thing. She wasn't forced. That's
they wanted to, and
that's like a shot across the bow of these trad people.
Yeah.
I think that's what that was. It's like, your parents are Catholic, they got out of it, and then you decide, you read some New York Times op-eds, and you decide that it's for you. And your parents are like, oh my God, what are you doing?
You don't have to do this. Oh God. But it's to her, it helps her ultimately. It was like, because she was like, I'm not going to do this. I can't sell my daughter out. Fuck it. No, I'm sorry, I'm out. And then like, let her daughter do it.
Yeah. You fuck it. Yeah. And she was like, no, fuck it. I'll marry you to any piece of shit. Yeah, no, that was, and okay, but here's the thing. What happened to the gangster? Because the shithead husband ended up with the gangster's wife at the end. So
I think we kind of figure, he's just busy with his art, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, her husband might be like, "You fucking my wife," and he might be dead. By the time at some point. I don't know.
I love the, like, Gilroy really knows, like, character. And given all of these people, I was talking about Cyril Karn's little ticks, but Deidre's ticks, I love all of it. Like, I love everything about, like, what she's doing. I love every choice she's making. Truly, like, true Star Wars villain, like, excellence. Like, just... And you get to see her in a fully dimensional person. Same with Cyril. But that motherfucker got shot in the head because he was a fucking fascist. Like Lonnie. What am I supposed to do? This show is very clear-headed about it's not about right and wrong. It's about wield of power, and it is about, like, intelligence, strategy.
Well, she's end up in the same cell as Andy Serkis at the end, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
right. So yeah,
and it's like she did everything right she was indoctrinated because she's like grew up in one of their education orphanages.
Oh yeah,
that is a good point. I felt like something was being said there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have some people who just toe the line because that's all they've ever known.
Mm.
Like they're okay with the system because that's the only system they can conceive of.
Yeah. Well, that's what what she and Cyril both like is order, and their opposition to chaos. It's not about like that. That was the sort of. He finally gave voice, because if you watch Star Wars, it doesn't the Empire doesn't have like an ethos that you can go read. There's not a Curtis Yavin for the Empire.
Right.
They don't show it to
they're
you.
the evil guys.
Yeah, they're just bad guys, and so you have to.
Other than power grabs,
yeah,
at the mercy of other people. Yeah,
yeah, but there's fascism does have an ethos in the world, and they do have a theory, and so but the main thing that they offer to people is the idea of order. These are people. These are next door posters.
Mm-hmm.
These are people who.
I know exactly these people.
Yeah,
I bet you do.
Yeah, and so that's a real. And this show gets that right, is that chaos, which is what he says. You discuss me, all that you want is chaos. It's that she doesn't. Yeah, you see that she's been indoctrinated, which is kind of silly since it was a republic just 20 years ago, I don't want to be a Star Wars. I don't want to be a Star Wars. Yeah, I don't want to be a nitpicker.
Yeah, the math barely adds up.
Let's just say the republic disappeared real quick in the culture, in the culture.
Right, yeah, the Jedis are a weird myth in New Hope rather quickly.
Yeah. But anyway, so, and all of that, and just how I like how you were talking about how conversely Andor just showed him incredibly competent. That's also followed by these times where you see him incredibly you see him learning, which largely means failing. Like the TIE fighter wasn't as they trained him to be.
Oh my God. That TIE fighter interceptor, that was all I ever wanted, was to see somebody in a cool ship, but couldn't get a handle on it.
Yeah.
Everything wasn't smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was so good.
Same with Yavin. That was the plot there. The fact that he got chewed out by he had a work disagreement with his boss, how to handle the Gorman front. I really liked that, and obviously, but as the show winds up, you realize, the true enemy of the show is not the Star Wars fandom. It's Rogue One. Everything had to bend to Rogue One at the end. And I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot. This was all these people are Rogue One people. I just like that this season, we met what's the main ISB guy? The guy from Game of Thrones. Krennic is Ben Mendelsohn, right?
Yes.
So when you meet Krennic, it wasn't the guy from Rogue One to me. It was Pendergast.
Oh, you're talking about the Maester?
Yeah.
You're talking about the guy? Yes.
Yeah, the Maester, the Deidre's boss.
Yes, Deidre's. He was fantastic in this.
God, just an amazing, beautiful knocking Peter Cushing out of the water. I think. Doing that with that aura. Oh yeah, it was great. Everything about it was great.
Yeah,
when he has that line,
calibrate your enthusiasm.
Yes, yes, it's an assignment. Calibrate your enthusiasm.
Yes, it's so funny. We were both thinking of the same line.
Yes, it was beautiful, and it.
Just the way he went out was great.
Yeah. He was,
but it also made sense. Everything about it. That last conversation he had with that subordinate, where he's like, "I'd like it for a few minutes."
Yeah,
to be, with my thoughts.
Guy knew exactly what was happening there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Give him, and the guys are at the door. They could give him a minute, and they don't. And oh man, it was so good. You just hear the noise.
Perfectly modulated.
Yeah.
Perfectly, yeah.
Yeah. It was, and like the big one, Luthen's death, man. I thought that was really interesting. Like, I think I loved everything about that episode.
Oh man, the fact that they turned that into a set piece, basically, an action set piece. Because I was like, I don't know how this is going down. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
the things, the world, the stakes were so high in the world that they built. I really could see them failing.
Yeah,
so I was genuinely surprised when the Maester died, because. When all the bad guys got their comeuppance, it was well earned, and I was genuinely surprised. I guess.
Yeah,
right.
Cyril doesn't get even because Cyril was a character structurally. He's Andor's copy. Yeah, carbon copy, whatever. He's the dark
foil.
Yeah, he's the foil. So everywhere Andor goes, he takes the other way. In every way. His relationship with his mom is completely different. Everything about it, they're just opposites structurally. And so when they meet, you're like, at some point, he's going to reflect on this.
Yeah.
But the story gives him just that one, like, sort of insulting end because he is a fucking tool. There's no, like, I'm sorry, I'm passing judgment on you, Sarah.
Yeah, it does. It does bring you really close to thinking that he's had some sort of redemption. He's disgusted at what's happened.
Oh, he realized what he's been used, and he's
turned his back on and then the minute he sees Andor's face, all that redemption goes out the window.
Yeah,
and the toolness comes back, flooding back.
Yeah,
and that seems like a very David Chase type thing too.
That is
that people can't like overcome their natures. That was a reoccurring thing in The Sopranos.
Yeah,
where
Tony,
you would think that
there was revert to nature,
or just like Tony's sister and the Richie Aprile.
Oh yes,
like
a mob boss is single. She's now back just like her mom.
Right.
Yeah.
And so and for all of her journey that she was been on, she couldn't she was still who she was.
Yeah.
And that was ultimately Cyril's downfall too.
Yeah.
He started to actually sympathize with the Gorman people. And he was actually, the shells fell from his eyes, and he could see, he could actually see what he had done to these people. And then all that didn't matter the minute he saw Andor. He was back to being a tool.
And then obviously the beautiful, like, who are you? Like Andor I have no idea.
I don't even know.
Yeah. I've been the sub focus of your life for 6 years, and I don't even know who the fuck you are. I didn't even remember the scene together.
It's very. I feel sorry for you. I don't even think.
It is.
It's bad man shit.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
And I also love that, because the whole time that the Gormans were buying this guy's shit, I was irritated, and especially that grandpa, like Mr. France, especially that asshole. I was like, God damn you falling for this motherfucker, you stupid,
Well, they're amateur. It was amateur.
Yeah, it was amateur hour. They were not up to it, and Andor clocked that. He just didn't
He was right about it.
Yeah.
He's like, these people want you to do this, and
So all of that, but I was going to like how Luthen finally like him taking himself out like that in that scene. But Deidre is his foil. I think that was my bigger point. Deidre is his foil, and that's where having that scene together and him winning in that way is quite satisfying, because it's not like he ducked. It's not like he ducked into another room and got away. He didn't do it Star Trek style. Like he
died with the wig on.
Yeah, he died with his wig on, and then like that little thing where that girl's got to go and he didn't finish it. That girl's got to go clean up his fucking mess.
Right.
And then you get like this fucking kind of exhilarating action sequence. It's like the Matrix scene, her siege on that building. And
oh man, that was so good.
Yeah, and you just like you're and then the backstory, which is interesting, and it's not like it's not like a backstory I heard a million times. It's not just his daughter,
right.
No, there's like a business like approach even
Yeah.
Right off the bat, she's like, "What? Am I your daughter now?" And he's like, when you need to be."
Yeah.
When it's convenient.
Yeah, it seems convenient. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a relief to me. It never even occurred to me that we'd have to have that they were Jedis.
Yeah.
Until you guys brought that up, and I was like, I hope this is not a Jedi situation. I think
that was just. I think there was something to be seen with. Andor did hit the toxic, horrible black cloud ecosystem that exists around Star Wars. It has fought a couple battles in their arena. One of which is that there's the general critique that they're not interested in Star Wars movies without the Force.
Right.
There's guys like that. It's about the lightsabers to some people. And, they're not my people. Okay, fine. And they can have the world. I'm a 46-year-old man. It's time for me to let these things go.
Right. Let it go.
Tony Gilroy just gave this to me. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can speak more on that later. As a guy that's watched all this shit.
Oh, yeah. So that's fine. But, this is what I always thought I wanted from Star Wars, that there's a larger world. And it seemed like it would be fun to poke into that in a more sophisticated and rich way. Mm-hmm. It had modern politics. There weren't kingdoms and shit, or it had World War II politics. And so that was kind of interesting. Let's peek into it more. And when they did that in the prequels, George Lucas did it instead of a writer. So it was really hard to take. And it was really horrible. A lot of decisions were made that kind of took the franchise away from what I wanted. This was kind of exactly what I wanted. I didn't want a lot of Jedi shit. I liked that it was understated for most of the series. I think we forget that until Luke is training it, and then until the third one.
Yeah.
And so I liked that. I liked the stark colors of the design of everything.
The design. The design for folks were really the design is better on this than it has been on any of the other Star Wars shows by far, because even the Mandalorian.
Yeah, and that was just doing Tatooine shit, but this was giving rich environments that were really interesting. Like the little thing where there's people that worship because the planet goes through the planet, you come up with an astrological reason, and then you make it a religion to the people, and then you get a little moment, and then it's the cover for a heist. It was all beautifully structured,
Right.
And then, in season 2, once you find out it's going to be segmented, I was like, okay, so it's going to be more like season 1, where you have these contained stories with these characters. But it didn't happen that way. There was it did take place. Each 3 episodes was a year. Took place in the year, but it built all to one story.
Right.
And so it was kind of interesting. It was almost felt less segmented than the first season. But it was, I need to watch it again. I've only watched it the first time.
Yeah. Season 2 is the beer before Yavin season. And the first one was Cassian learning how to be a spy, basically.
Yeah. I guess more of the season 2 is the birth of to get you to the Yavin. I guess you saw in Rogue One, and you see it. And so and Star Wars, you see him. But how do you get to that level of organization? And it does show that story. And Andor is given a really predominant place in it. He did a lot of shit. He was at the massacre. He was the one that got Mon Man. So he gets to be a legendary character now. He started, and you do get sort of it's a satisfying conclusion to that guy who died in Rogue One. So it does. What was the
tweet if you watch Andor? Rogue One and then A New Hope, everyone in the space of 3 weeks gets progressively dumber in the entire universe.
Dumber. Yeah. To the point where it is kind of and I texted you guys, but I said, I just imagine the next scene where it's Clea sitting there while everybody's clapping these two motherfuckers that just showed up. Like, you know, after all the shit she's had to fucking do, all the bodies, all the fucking nights, all the fucking like stressed out bullshit.
And
She's
Han with his shit-heaving grin.
And his fur bag who just follows him around.
Yeah.
These two goddamn gay robots that just fucking showed up.
All that work and the fucking astrology bros are the ones that come and clean up and get all the credit.
Yeah. These guys just showed up.
That's it. It is an interesting thing because this is a world. Andor season 1 and season 2. It's a story about a revolution and it's people who are affected by fascism in a world where both the supernatural and everybody's dream technologies exist, and they still have all of these problems.
Yeah. That felt.
I think that's really. I feel like that's really interesting. That's kind of a feat in and of itself. So you have the supernatural's real, and you have all these super technology. AI is real. All this stuff that should make post scarcity a thing, but it's not.
And it's pretty graphic in it. It's pretty because if you think about it, let's say the blowing up of Alderaan, which is the thing they do in the movie in Star Wars, and that shows how evil the Empire is. That establishes their villainy. But here it's everywhere. Every adult, because Cassian's from planet Orphan, because every adult was killed in these mines that the Empire had sort of left there.
Right.
And then you have all of the Empire's impression on Ferrex and their boot, all of that kind of stuff. You have you just get like Orman and how they basically we need this shit at the core of their planet. We need to blow them up, but we also have to do it politically. So I'm calling in Fox News,
Cyril's mom is repeating those talking points that they brought up in that first board meeting. Because she's Fox News big.
Yeah, what a delightfully monstrous person is his mom. And when she meets, when they have the Godzilla versus King Kong scene between Deidre and her, and he goes and lays on that bed. Beautiful moment. I love it. It's a beautiful.
I never would have thought I would have. So that's something that David Chase would have written.
Yes, that is 100%. You're right. That is a that's a Pete Campbell moment. Pete Campbell would have done that in Mad Men. Yeah. So what a beautiful thank you for this TV show. Because
one of my favorite. Just talk about one of my. It reminded me of one of my favorite things about season 1 is that he. Andor has this heist, and the ramifications of the heist reverberate throughout the galaxy.
Yeah.
And there are people who claim that they were there, that they weren't. It's a big deal. And he gets away clean.
Yes. Yes.
And then he goes away where he thinks that the fascist trouble won't follow him.
Yeah.
To a beach in Wales.
I'm going to go to the Miami planet.
Right, to planet Miami.
But it's really Wales, I think, is where that's shot.
Oh, is that? Yeah. Maybe, yeah.
It's somewhere in the UK,
Yeah. But they made it look.
But anyway, and then he gets picked up for some BS, charge because they need to put sprockets on widgets or whatever for the Empire. The lesson is that you can't escape it anywhere. If it exists everywhere.
Yes.
And that's just a beautiful way to illustrate that. Because he was under the impression that if he had money in his pocket,
and that's
his goals were met.
That's why he risked going back to Ferrex.
Yeah.
It was because he thought he got away clean and he could get his mom away. He was too dumb. Yeah. It really is a great learning journey for everything. He learned something, even with he He learns a little bit of teamwork. Like, he makes a friend in that prison. So, like, you know, it was so focused on Andy Serkis, but, like, you know, his buddy, I mean, that guy dies in Rogue One. That guy, actor, is one of the characters in Rogue One.
Right. So, but he starts off as a little guy. He's just a guy at the table when the first time you say,
yeah, he's a little guy. He's a guy working on the building the machines.
Right.
And so,
how great were the design of that that design? Because you feel it's weird because you feel like you understand exactly what those parts ought to be doing.
Yes.
And then by the time they're done putting it together, you feel like you could do it. You know what I mean?
You're doing what you were doing what Andor was doing, which is watching them so that you can jump back in.
All right. Oh, they're just they're building the Death Star. Oh, I see what they're doing.
Yeah, and this is mirrored with because I'm just watching these episodes again with Allison. This is mirrored by Cyril being in his prison of given that boring job. And he gets called in.
Which also they all have their own little cubicles. Mirrors the fact that everybody's got their own little workstation. There's a lot of that. That's really good stuff.
Yeah. So lots of this Tony Gilroy, man. I need to watch Michael Clayton again. That was on my list, but I haven't gotten a chance to do it again. But I'm interested because I watched a couple interviews with the guy too, and he's really charismatic. He's a fun, he's a real charismatic guy, and so which is a contrast to David Chase, who's not. Who's talking to like a depressing.
Yeah,
I do feel like if David Chase watched this, he would probably be like, "Would they let me do a Star Wars?" He would.
Then he would get lost up his ass about Buddhism.
Okay.
Yeah, but no. It was
he might find a lane in that.
Yeah. I mean, you could do that with the Force shit, right?
Yeah,
that's true.
You could. He might be able to find.
But then you got it. Then it turns into a Jedi show, and everybody's happy.
I do think that this is. I think maybe I feel from listening to Tony Gilroy in the article, he seems to me that deep down, if you could get a couple beers in him and he trusts you, he hates Star Wars. He has like no affinity for it. But he obviously
I kind of see that.
Yeah,
I mean,
it takes a Nick Meyer to do the best work of a franchise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
And I think that probably, and if we sat down and think about it, which I can't, I don't know, none are coming to mind. But if we sat down and think about it, we probably already have known movies where serious filmmakers or writers are working in popular schlock to to tell their stories, but like Tony Gilroy kind of wrote a little truncated. He had to retrofit it into a streaming era thing, but he kind of got to tell the story, and I think maybe. I don't want to count Mike White, but Mike White got to do that with White Lotus. He's gotten his little show where it's kind of working in the way he's streaming. And it's working in the era of streaming, which not every show is. But I wonder if more will Wes Anderson try this part or not? Well, no, not him. He's too, but somebody of interest. I don't know. One of the guys we like. If they could start trying to work in one of these stream, because I felt like The Penguin felt like a streaming format show. It felt like a different era than what we were talking about with the Golden Age. I wonder if these spite shows I'm going to make. I'm going to make a show about Robin, but it's really good, Batman and Robin. But I'm going to or whatever. I don't know something. I'm going to make Transformers. I got to make a GoBot show, but I'm going to make it what if the Sopranos had a GoBot show?
Give me this little corner to work with.
Yeah, and give me a little runway.
I'll stay out of the main continuity and just let me do my shit.
But it costs so much, so that's why I think that maybe Andor might be we might not get this again.
I don't think we'll get this again for a while because
while it looks
nobody's getting anything for a while, really.
Yeah.
like the industry is in a bad place right now.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
not much.
Well, your company definitely is good.
Yeah,
God.
I'm not even. I'm just talking. Yeah, like I don't know if I can talk about that, but yes,
yeah.
But like anybody that's making TV, it's fucked.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
It's because they're not like if you wanted to move to LA and do work in television.
Yeah. The industry's dead. Yeah,
you don't have a whole lot of options.
Yeah. So I'm wondering how this happen. What all will we have to start looking at this stuff? We know Star Wars, but I don't know, the Janeway show. Someone will greenlight a Janeway show, but
they already started that with that cartoon, and it got canceled.
But it'll be the best goddamn, aside from Star Trek shit, it's the best goddamn show on television because some person that should be doing better work is there. Is having to schlub it out and do this kind of stuff. So, and I
guarantee people are in talks to do the next Andor, but whether it'll look anywhere is the thing.
Well, I think that you could probably entice Tony Gilroy to do another thing inside the Star Wars universe.
I mean, yeah. So,
but it's going to be a ground zero kind of deal. He would probably try to make it a whole different thing. Because he seems
I don't know.
He seems like a man who likes a lot of control. He was talking about he was talking about the actress who's playing Mon Mothma, and you could visibly see on his face that he was kind of irritated he didn't cast her. I think he thinks she's fine, but he was given her. And
she was in the prequels.
And she was she had a bigger role in the Rogue One that he didn't do. So he cut a lot of her out of Rogue One. So I don't know. I'm not trying to say gossip there. I'm just saying that I think there was a level of control he likes to have in a project. And
sure.
I don't know. Low-level James Cameron vibes, and I'd like to see him, but I'm saying that's like a whole other kid caboodle. So I think he's got to I don't know. Especially if they do another Star Wars thing, I don't know, but would it be just, I don't know if he'd want to do this kind of political story again. I don't know what he would want to tell.
I think Star Wars TV is done until they see how these next movies do. They see how the Mandalorian movie does, and there's one other movie they're doing, and they're doing more Rey shit. So I think they're like, streaming's dead. Let's try to make movies again.
Yeah.
And who knows how that'll work.
Yeah, and there is I guess when the Fantastic Four starts soon, right?
Yeah, next month.
Yeah, we're gonna start hitting all the new, see if they can still make these big.
And then we get the real. We also got this summer. All the good ones are making ones too. All our boys, PTA, Wes. Yeah. There's a bunch of movies coming out. Good stuff. Yeah.
You guys, you ought to see Sinners when you get a chance.
I definitely should see Sinners. I should. My life is about to open up a little bit, so I think this summer I'll have a little more time.
I saw Mission Impossible and Friendship last week.
Oh yeah, it's Friendship. You said you confirmed my suspicion. It's just a really long. I think you should leave skit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's not an idea. It's not trying to say anything about the state other than it's really funny.
Yeah.
It's not.
Okay. Oh, I'll watch it. Is it?
I think you should leave a lot. So I mean,
I laughed a lot.
Is it a hard R?
What do you mean?
I watched the TV show with my daughter, and we loved it. Can I watch this with her? Is it that kind of funny? Is there dicks?
No.
Okay,
no.
I think maybe that's my aunt.
No.
Is there dicks?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. You won't feel uncomfortable in that way. You'll feel uncomfortable in just like
it's uncomfortable humor.
Yeah, it's an uncomfortable watch.
Yeah. Okay. And Mission Impossible. Any thoughts now that on the Mission Impossible oeuvre?
I mean, this one
has all these thoughts. I've
actually thought one of the nicest things about Mission Impossible is that it didn't carry over a lot of baggage from the previous installments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you watched the De Palma one.
Yeah.
And then you watched the John Woo one. And John Woo one had, like, nothing to do with the De Palma one.
Yeah.
And then James Abrams, J.J. Abrams, rather.
Gives him a wife, right?
He made Mission Impossible 3, and then it had nothing to do with the Woo one or the Palma one. And it was like, that was the nice thing.
Yeah.
Here, at the last one, they have all these callbacks
supposed to be
the De Palma.
Yeah.
And I was like, who cares? That's not what any of this... And
the actor whose room he breaks into, they bring that actor gets to work again, right? And
and he's actually one of the best. His acting ability is his ability to deliver these horribly Michael Scarn lines is better than a lot of people that have bigger roles in the movie. He was actually pretty good compared to everybody else, but no, it's just a silly old man like movie story until you get to the part where Tom Cruise is legit hanging off a plane, and then your palms are sweating in a way that and it's amazing. That movie was 2 hours and 49 minutes.
Yeah,
and he's hanging out of a plane.
It feels like you could probably make a 2-hour supercut, maybe 3-hour supercut of just the best shit. And that's the way to watch Mission Impossible. Ooh, look, this is a scene where he does this with the plane. Ooh, look, this is a scene.
Yes.
This is the scene where he gets in a fist fight with Superman. This is the scene where he hangs from the plane. Yeah, you that would be the way to watch this now. Like, you can cut it all down. Yeah. And no plot, no girlfriend, no Ving Rhames, no Simon Pegg, no Jeremy Renner, maybe some of the bad guys, the good bad guys, Alec Baldwin.
The bad guy in this one is so cartoonishly over the top.
Oh
it's the most over the top cartoonish stuff I've seen ever, and.
Doesn't he die? He gets shot in the balls and falls off something or something.
No,
I heard he had a funny death or something. That's all I know about.
He does have a funny death. The thing about it is, it's
who's the actor that plays him?
I don't. Do we know him? I couldn't tell you who that guy is.
Okay,
he's a jobber though. He's a guy that you've seen in other stuff.
Okay.
He's just doing what.
I've never given a shit about any of these.
Yeah,
these movies.
You're not missing anything if you just want to watch the making of Mission Impossible. To watch him hang off a plane, do that.
Yeah.
It did occur to me that the Academy has a brand new category this year for best stunt work. But it also happens to overlap with Tom Cruise's last Mission Impossible. I mean, this is probably his. I mean, it's astonishing.
Yeah.
Because he's 65 years old, and his face is flapping in the wind, like in the most unflattering way that you can imagine. And he's punching a stuntman, with one hand hanging on, doing all these drops, switching hands in mid-flight, and you're like, oh my God, it's crazy. There's no reason to do all that. and then you get to there's one shot of the bad guy outside the plane, and it's all green screen, and it looks so drastically different than the previous 15 minutes of, and you're like, oh, that's why they do it, because it looks. Green screen looks silly, I guess, is the moral of the story.
And that's also why every Star Wars movie looks like absolute trash, but Andor looks beautiful. It's because it wasn't shot in the volume.
Yeah, where did they... I mean, are those just in Eastern Bloc
Yeah,
they're like they're like in Wales and on the coast in England and shit. I think
No, all those big concrete buildings.
Yep, one's in Spain. One's
those were wow.
Yeah, and there was some augmentation. There's some but like no, they were all real locations. And they filmed the Aldani heist in Scotland. They it's real. It's and that's why it looks beautiful. It has a visual style. So good. It's so good. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm sorry. We're back on Andor.
Yeah, I mean, it's like after watching all the other Star Wars, it's like Star Wars is for 15-year-old boys, right?
Yeah,
sure.
And then they gave us one for us that were 15-year-old boys and 12-year-old and 7-year-old. I was 5 or whenever I saw Jedi. It's like, okay, that was for me. And then it's like, okay, well, it's really nice that they gave us this one.
They did.
Yeah, we got one on the way out.
Things that are for 15-year-old boys, I still enjoy the shit out of that. Like,
absolutely.
The Acolyte was actually a good show. And you know what? That Skeleton Crew was, if we were talking about like Star Wars shows that show different parts of things, that was fine too. But that was a show that's Goonies. They did Goonies at Star Wars.
There's a lot of it was kids' capers.
Is it canceled?
Yeah, they only did one season.
Yeah.
They wanted another one, but like Disney, the mouse only
They said no, there really is what's her face is on probation.
Kathleen Kennedy.
So she's got to put all of her eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Or David Filoni gets her job, or maybe Tony Gilroy. Maybe he gets he's shot. If
he wants
what
it.
if he comes in at the he could James Gunn? He could be the James Gunn.
He could
of Star Wars coming up at the very end, make the most sophisticated version of the field. And then steal the prize, man, because that's what he did with
I think The Mandalorian probably still gets more views than Andor. Like,
God.
Well, that's a lot's got to ride on that movie.
What kind of world are we?
And a lot is writing. Like I said, a lot is writing all these movies. I think
guys,
I'm done with that.
Yeah,
I gotta go.
Yeah, okay.
But I will.
Yeah,
this was good.
I think we're good here. I'll see you guys later.
I think we're good here.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you later.
Okay. Later. All right. How do I do this again? Make sure I don't delete